Hey, thanks for watching Practical Solutions. My name is John, and today we're going to go over configuring a GETVPN. Now, a GETVPN is best suited in a private environment. So a private ISP network or an MPLS, that would be best suited for it because it does not work in a NAT environment. It is tunnelless. There's no overlay routing required. It does support IKE version 1 and 2, and it consists of 3 components: a key server and group members, and then a GDOI, which is the group domain of interpretation, which you will configure. So to start off, we're going to jump into the key server. We'll define an IKE policy, PSK or pre-shared key authentication. We'll define our IPsec transform and parameters. We will create our RSA key, our GDOI group. We'll rekey and show you how to set up the rekeying method. And then finally, we'll do the group member policy, which will be almost like an access control list, which is what you would want encrypted, going between branch A to branch B or so forth and so on. The group member, there isn't as much to configure. We have the IKE policy, the PSK authentication, the GDOI group, the crypto mappings, and then the IPsec interface selection. And that's it. So let's go ahead and jump into branch 1. And in branch 1, we're going to go ahead and set up the key server. So we'll just go ahead and config T. We'll give it a host name. We're going to go with branch 1 so it matches its even G name. And then we'll jump into our crypto ISACAM policy. So crypto ISACAM policy, and we're going to call this policy 1. For encryption, we're just going to use AES 128. For a hash, we're going to go ahead and use SHA-256. For a group, now there are groups that no longer work. They've been cracked, but we're going to use 14. I think 14 is on the list. I know 5 is on there. For a lifetime, this is just how long the policy will last, 3600. And then we'll go with authentication, we'll go with pre-share. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and set up the actual key server PSK authentication. This is going to be all your spokes that you're going to define in this next step. It will be crypto ISACAM key. We're going to use Cisco because it's easy to remember. And then the address for the remote will be 172.0.0.2. So the IP address range that we're going to use is the 172.0.0.0/24. So we've got all 254 IP addresses to use. We're not going to use all those, but the ones that we do use, we'll use 1 for the key server, and then I'll set up 2 and 3, which will be branch 2 and 3 respectively. So those are all set. Now we're going to go into the IKE phase 2 policy, which is where you set up your IPsec transform set and then your IPsec profile. So we'll go into crypto IPsec transform set, give it a name. We're just going to go ahead and call it transform because it's easy. And then we will go ahead and set our ESP, AS, and then ESP, HMAC. Come on. All right. So the transform set's all set. Now we're going to go into the IPsec profile. Cry. That's what I want to do right now. I just did that. All right. Crypto IPsec profile. And then the profile name, we're just going to call it profile. If you're using this in a production environment, obviously you want to have names that make sense, but for us, we're just studying it. So now we're going to set the security association. You can set the lifetime if you want, seconds, whatever. In the example that I'm going to provide, we are going to set the lifetime seconds to 7,200 seconds. So this is just showing you that there's a bunch of variables that you can use besides the default. Security association, lifetime, and then you have to define if you want it in seconds, kilobytes, or days. We're going to use seconds, and then we'll do 7,200. And then the transform set we have to attach to this profile, so set, transform set, and we call it transform. All right, so that's all set for that portion. Now we're going to go ahead and generate our RSA keys. So this is going to be crypto key, generate RSA, general keys, label, we're just going to call it keys, mod 2048, and then we will go ahead and make those exportable because these are already sent to our peers. All right, now we're going to work on the key server GDOI, or the group domain of interpretation. This one is crypto GDOI, the group, and then what you want to call it. So we'll just call it group, make it really easy. Inside the group, you have to put your identity number. So our identity number that we're going to use is just going to be 1, just for ease. And the server is going to be local because it will be us. Now we'll move into the rekeying structure. As you can see, all of these that I'm in right now is the server local configuration. So everything in here is going to be specifically for the key server. So this is rekey, and then we'll do the transport and where we're going to be sending it. It can be unicast, and that's the only option they give you in this one. Rekey lifetime. This is how long before it has to be rekeyed, and we'll do 86,400 in seconds. And that I believe is a whole day. And then rekey, transmit, retransmit, retransmit. So this is where you're going to set up parameters of how many times it's going to, after how many seconds. And we'll do number, we'll do 3. All right, so we have that portion set up. Now we have to also do the authentication portion where we assign the RSA keys that we just created, which is rekey, authentication. It's going to be mypub key, which is the only option they give you, RSA, and then we used keys. Now we will add our address for the local server, which is 172.0.0.1. I have to define IPv4. My bad. It's the only option they give you, but they still make you define it. This is an older image. Okay. So that's all set there. Now we can go ahead and do the SA, and we're just going to call it IPsec. And then your sequence to insert into this list, we're just going to do attach our IPsec profile, which we call profile. I'm going to go ahead and match the address. We're going to go ahead and make a actual access list next. We're working a little bit backwards, but what we're doing is going through the steps in the proper order. You can always do the access list first, but the access list that we're going to put this on, which is going to be match address IPv4, and we'll create an access list called access, or we can just call it 101. That's even easier. And that's it. We'll define 101, and that matched address will be your actual protected traffic. And then we'll set up some security here. We'll do the replay counter window size. So how long, how big it can be as far as before retrying, and we'll set it to 5. All right, so the replay window is all set. Now let's go ahead and make the access, the access list. We're just Xing out of all the different menus. So as you can see, it's you build into the menus and you can build out of them. So as you go through, you can reconfigure anything you miss. That's why I just use exit instead of end. So in this next one, we're gonna make the access list. So access list, and it's gonna be 101 and permit traffic, but since we want everything, it's gonna be IP any, and then any. And then you can add log and whatnot. So that's all set. So that access list 101 is now matched that IPsec encrypted traffic that we just went and defined. All right, so let's go ahead and see. We don't have anything configured right now. Config T interface GI00. Let's put our actual IP address on here. 172.0.0.1. Notice how it didn't bark at me because we haven't set anything up yet. It'll allow you to do that. You just have to make a note that you have to go back and configure that. It won't remind you, unfortunately. But you'll know because it won't work. All right. So that should be everything that you need on an actual key server. So I do a show run. And we'll run through the different portions as we come along. So this is going to be, we could do a show run pipe section crypto if you wanted to. That'll show up just the crypto. In this case, I'm just parsing through it because I don't really have a lot here to show you. And this is everything that we have set up. So the biggest thing that you want to make sure is that anything over here, as far as your ISACAM policy and everything, matches what you do with the branch. So just pay attention to those crucial details. If you see things not forming, always go back and make sure you didn't fat finger anything. So this is everything that we have set up for GDOI and then for the actual IPsec profile and then our actual traffic that's going to be protected. So now that that's all set, our traffic protection is down here. Now that's all set when we have an actual IP address. Let's go to branch 2 and we'll configure branch 2. This one we'll do a little bit different. Host name, we're going to call it branch 2. And then we'll go ahead and we'll go to interface gig 00 and we'll put an IP address on there now. All right, right, so we got that IP address on there, no shut, and we'll put a description of GetVPN. All right, so that's all set. Let's make sure we can also ping across, which we should be able to. Yep, okay, so that's cool. Just want to make sure. On EVNG, it's always weird, so I just want to make sure I have that baseline connectivity there. All right, so now for this, there's 5 steps we went over earlier. We're going to jump into the phase 1 policy. So config T, crypto, ISACANT policy, and then we'll call it 1. Now put our encryption, which was AES-128. Put our hash, which was SHA-256. We put our group, and we used group 14. We used a lifetime, and the lifetime that we chose was 3600. And then authentication we set up was pre-share. So on the spokes or branches, however you'd like to reference them as, you can go ahead and actually set up them only to the key server. So when you go ahead and do this, there's really easy. It's just crypto, ISACANT key, like we did before, choosing Cisco for this one, address, and then it's just going to be the key server. And then the key server handles everything else for you. So that's it as far as the PSK authentication and the ISACANT policy. Now we'll jump into the GDOI configuration, which is going to be crypto GDOI group. So crypto GDOI group, and then what do we want to use? We used group before, we'll just use group now, and then we have to use our identity number, which we chose 1, easy, and then the server address, and that's going to be 172.0.0.1. So GDOI is all set. Now let's do crypto maps if we needed for the crypto maps as far as what we're going to be protecting or what the group's going to be protected. It's going to be crypto map, name that you'd like to call it. We're just going to call it GVPN. And then the sequence number you'd like to use into the crypto map entry, and then our actual GDOI, because we have to define it. It's going to be a GDOI crypto map. All right, so inside the GDOI crypto map, we go ahead and we set the group that we made, set group, and we called it group. Now we just go ahead and we slap that onto an interface. In our case, we're only using interface gig00, which is the only interface that we have configured. Already have an IP address on there. We just have to put crypto map GVPN, and watch this. Watch what happens when I hit enter. You'll see GDOI come up, and it'll go through the steps. The registration to the key server for group, which we've defined using our address. We don't have any VRFs. The SA tech we get updated. The KEK we get updated with a hash. Then we also get our registration, tells us we are successful. Everything looks awesome. That's how it should look. We'll write our configuration. Over here, you don't see anything, but if I do show crypto GDOI, you'll see inside of here how many group members we have and everything that's been configured on the key server. So show crypto GDOI is going to go ahead and give you a kind of an overview of what you've got configured for GDOI. If I do KS for the key server, it'll show you what's configured on the key server, or who is the key server and what we have enabled, right? So we don't have the delayed detection protocol. You can always do that one. That's a replay window as well. For older packets, you can define how long you allow a packet to be reused, or how long will be accepted for, right? Because this prevents people from using stale packets to get into your network. Besides that, we can go, we can show crypto GDOI. That's just the overview. Let's see, we can do GDOI detail. If we jump into GDOI detail, sorry, it just adds a little bit more information as far as lifetime for the rekeying and how long you've got left for rekeying, how many times it's been rekeyed, and it does define all these. So all these things that were defined on the key server, you can see here as well. And then we can go to, let's do GDOI, let's do the key server policy we can check out. So if you had any question on what that policy was, you can go ahead and look here for the tech and the KEK. And then we also have for GDOI, I think we have the KS members, right? Yeah, okay, cool. And then these are all of your members for whoever your group members are, and if there's any rekey sent and what the key server ID is. Because you can have multiple key servers, but there's always one primary key server. Those other key servers will send that to you. We're not going to go over that configuration. Maybe at a later date I will, but for the most part, just to get up and understand the technology, this is perfect. So thanks for watching. My name is John, Practical Solutions. Glad we kept you entertained. Hopefully you learned something. If not, let me know in the comments below. Take care. Have a great day.